Thank you so much for joining me today. We are looking at binomial denominators, and that just means that we are looking at a denominator that for me, when I've got this two things in the bracket, I'm thinking about if I've got another bracket, I'm going to have a polynomial or a quadratic. So that's what I'm thinking about when I see this, and we want to get rid of the square roots on the bottom because we don't like the square roots as a denominator. So to do that, there's a rule that I would like you to think about. I'm going to just write it, and then I'm going to expand it and simplify it so you can see what we can do to get rid of a square root. So to start off, I would like you to think about a plus b in brackets a take b. Just remember, when we've got brackets, that means everything in the first bracket is being multiplied by everything in the second bracket. So a times a and a times negative b, b times a and b times negative b. So I can expand that to show a squared take ab plus ba take b squared, and this simplifies to a squared take b squared, and this is what we are after to get rid of this binomial denominator and to get rid of this square root. So if I'm looking at this, because it's plus, I'm going to times it by square root of 3 take 1. I'm just going to rub off this rule now just so I've got some extra space. And just think about a fraction. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top because it's equivalent. So if I'm timesing the bottom by square root of 3 take 1, I'm going to times the top by square root of 3 take 1. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to expand. So I'm just going to leave the top how our is for now. Let's see what happens to the bottom. Just remember, the square root of 3 must times with everything in the second bracket, and the 1 must times with everything in the second bracket. So square root of 3 times square root of 3. Well, the square roots cancel out and it becomes 3. Square root of 3 times negative 1 is take square root of 3. 1 times square root of 3, so it's positive square root of 3. And then 1 times negative 1 is just 1. So now I can simplify that. And a negative square root of 3 plus a positive square root of 3, so they just cancel out. And it becomes 3 take 1 on the bottom, which is 2. Put it over here. On my top, the 5 gets times by everything on in the top bracket. 5 times square root of 3 is 5 square root of 3. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. And there you have it. We have got rid of the square root on the bottom. Let's have a go at moving on to this one. Now this time, the first one we had a plus, this one we've got a minus. So the opposite of minus is a positive. So I'm going to times the bottom by the exact same, but instead of negative, it's positive. So 3 plus the square root of 10. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top because it is an equivalent fraction. So I'm going to times the top by 3 plus square root of 10. Now I'm going to expand it. So I'm going to draw my line. Everything on the outside of the bracket is going to be times by everything inside the bracket. So 3 times 4 equals 12 plus the square root of 10 times 4 for the square root of 10. Let's double check and have a look at our bracket here. So this 3 must times by everything in the second bracket. So 3 times 3 equals 9 plus 3 times square root of 10 minus negative positive equals a negative, so it's going to stay a negative. 3 times square root of 10 is 3 square root of 10. Square root of 10 times square root of 10, remember it's negative and positive equals a negative. And the square roots cancel out and it becomes just a 10. Because just remember, square root of 10 squared, the square root and the square cancel out. And now we've got left with this. So I can simplify. First thing I'm thinking about, if I've got a positive 3 square root of 10 and I'm taking 3 square root of 10 away, they cancel out. So that leaves me with 12 plus 4 square root 10 over 9 take 10. 9 take 10 equals negative 1. Now we've got 9 take 10 equals negative 1. The next thing I'm going to think about is, well, if I'm dividing by 1, it doesn't really do anything. It's just having a negative. So that just means that all I'm going to be doing is putting a negative on the outside and having 12 plus 4 square root of 10. Or in other words, if I want to have that negative inside, it will be negative 12 take 4 square root of 10. And there you have it. So this is our simplest form. Negative 12 take 4 square root of 10. If you need any extra help with binomial denominators, just let me know.